it's Annie B again, and I am here to make another video. First, I would like to point out my shirt. If for anyone who else is watching this video happens to be blind, it says I drive a stick, and it has a broomstick on it. I just went to Boston for the voice auditions. Didn't make it, but anyway, I went to Boston for the auditions, and we went to the Salem Witch Museum, and it says I drive a stick, and it has the broomstick on it, the witch's broomstick, and I thought it was super appropriate because I have driven a stick shift car before. One time my coworker let me, and he's actually a manager at my job, actually let me get behind the wheel of his Porsche and drive it. So I literally had to buy this shirt. So just a little irony to start off the video. So I made this channel partially to have fun, partially to show off my covers of music, but also kind of to educate on blindness. So I feel like there's a lot of different purposes for this channel. And today I'm going to talk about the biggest insecurities that I have that come with my blindness. Now, this is probably a little bit more real than I'm super comfortable getting with you guys, but I figured if we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about everything. Every blind person has a different experience, okay? So I'm not going to stand up here and say, this is the insecurities that every single blind person ever has, because first of all, there are different kinds of blindness. I have what's called Leber's disease, which is a genetic disease that's inherited. I was born blind. There are a lot of people that have lost their sight throughout the course of their lives. They're going to have different experiences, different insecurities, different things that they like and don't like. So this is just my video about my own insecurities about being blind. And I've never really talked about this before, except for maybe to a very select few friends, so just kind of bear with me because it's kind of awkward and a little bit difficult for me to talk about here, but we're gonna get right into it. There's probably about 4 that we're gonna get to in this video, but I just kind of want to point out before that I start it that everyone has insecurities. If you're blind, if you're sighted, if you're in a wheelchair, if you're deaf, I think every single person, disabled or non-disabled, has insecurities, and it's really important to just identify them because I'm not the only one, you're not the only one, anyone who's watching, it's not only you. Okay, so my first insecurity is going to sound a little weird to some people, and it is about the way I move. First of all, I'm just going to throw it out there, I cannot dance. This doesn't mean all blind people aren't able to dance. I am actually thinking about taking dance lessons. I googled blind dancers, and there's a girl who does ballet, which is incredible. But I can't dance. I've literally tried to tell people before that I was drunk when I was actually sober, just so that I could say that this isn't really how I dance, even though it is. And you might not think that that's a major deal, and it really isn't. So like, you don't dance at the club, you don't dance at the bar, no big deal. But I happen to also be a singer, okay? And not only am I not a good dancer, but I don't talk with my hands regularly, okay? I might like wave to emphasize something, but in my life I've never really seen people doing it. I have not been able to see that and copy that and have people, it doesn't come naturally to me because I'm not seeing other people do it. So when I sing and I want to get into a real big note and I want to do like, yeah, you know, like hands up or whatever, or love or whatever the case may be, I always feel like it looks super awkward and super stiff. And so singing is kind of a vulnerable thing anyway, so when you're getting up there and you're singing, you're trying to literally like show the real you, the raw, and it's vulnerable and it's real. But also underneath that, I have this kind of level of insecurity where I'm like, I don't want to do something wrong. I don't want to move in case I look stiff, but I don't want to stand still because I feel like that does look stiff, and I really am in a position where I just feel like there's no good in between. I actually, during my vocal lessons, and maybe one day I'll show you guys this, but I'm not super comfortable with it at this moment in time to be showing it to the whole entire world, I actually will go, okay, what do I do with this song? And my vocal coach will kind of, she'll be like, okay, you're going to take your hand, you're going to go like this, and then you're going to bring it out, or you're going to bring it in like you say I, and then you're going to bring them out. And like, she'll actually like literally come, like if I have to like move, she'll like come and like move my shoulders and like show me like which way to move and how to move. And so that's how I'm trying to kind of get over that. I'm also thinking about taking dance lessons, but I do feel like it's partially because I'm blind, just because making hand motions and body motions that are supernatural is not really easy to do when you haven't been able to see other people do it, so you don't have anything to copy. So even when I do a motion and it's right, like I get the right motion, I still feel like I'm acting or I'm pretending, and then I feel like that takes some of the reality out of it, so it doesn't look as genuine. So that's number one. Number two is that I am directionally challenged, and this is not all blind people either. Like, I'm not great with directions. I've had mobility class. I walk around with a cane. I have had mobility classes. The cane is basically, and I'll make another video for this eventually at some point, you either, if you're totally blind, you either have a guide dog or you have a cane, or actually usually you have both in case there's an issue where you need your cane and or your guide dog is sick, because things like that happen because guide dogs are actually dogs and they get sick and they get ill, and or they need a break for whatever reason, or you're between guide dogs, then even then you still have to know how to use a cane. And it's you take it and you kind of swing it in front of you and making it super simplistic, but you do that so that you don't bump into things. However, I don't go a whole lot of places completely alone, just because I'm never like, I'll go with my mom or I'll go with my friend, be like, hey, let's go to the store, whatever the case may be. So I'm not going completely by myself, so I feel like my mobility skills have waned a little bit because of that. And so I work in a call center, and it's just this, it's a maze of cubicles. So I know my area, okay? My area is great. I know my area. I go to the bathroom, I go to my boss's office, I go wherever. But just for example, one time they were fixing the floors in front of where I work, and so they moved me to another area, which I'm not super familiar with. And I didn't know how to get to the bathroom from there. I was literally like, I have no idea where I am, because I was in this maze of, just huge maze of cubicles, and if you don't know where you're starting and you can't see the end of it, you can get really lost in there. And I literally had to message a coworker and be like, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. Could you show me where that is? Because I have no idea. I used to date a guy that was really good at directions. He could direct you all over the place, and I used to just tell people like, yeah, duh, I'm blind, I'm not great with directions, and that was a thing. But then I started dating him, and he actually had at some point made it a priority to know where he was going and to direct himself, and so that he could know, so he could direct other people. So then I just started telling people, instead of like, yeah, I'm blind, I'm not great with directions, I just started telling them I'm directionally challenged. But I do feel like that is a major issue, just because I don't always want to have to be like, hey, can we go there together, because I'm lost. Like, yes, I've worked here for 5 years, but I'm still lost in this maze of cubicles. Or yes, I don't want to just walk to the store by myself, because I know how to do mobility, I know how to cross the streets, I know how to do all that stuff, I just don't do it very often, so I'm not as good at it as I could be and as I used to be. And so that's definitely a big insecurity of mine. My third one that I'm going to talk about is kind of don't know how to say it. It's like trying to prove to the world that I'm a competent individual. Because, and I don't know why this is, but as soon as people see that you're blind, a lot of them start to pity you. They're like, oh my God, how do you live? How do you wake up in the morning? How do you put on a shirt? How do you tie your shoes? How do you do any of those things? It's amazing. You can even get out of bed and you hold a full-time job. Okay, but I am just a person. I have things that I'm good at and things that I'm not good at. And I feel like a lot of times to get a job, even at my job, anywhere, even in school, all of that stuff, I have had to work 3 times as hard as anyone else just to prove that I'm competent and just to prove that I can do it. And that's fine, okay? That's definitely made me a little bit more of a perfectionist. It's made me a little bit more of a creative problem solver. It has made me really just a hard worker. It's made me an extremely hard worker. But no one can get everything right all the time. Okay, no one can do everything perfectly, but sometimes when I have to say, hey, I can't read this because this is a picture. Or I have to say, hey, you know, I didn't do this right because blah, blah, blah. Or my computer's not working. It's not reading me what it's supposed to be reading to me. And then I have to ask for help, which you do have to ask for help, especially as a blind person. You have to learn when you need help and when you don't need help, and you have to be okay with asking for it. But the problem with that kind of thing is when you live your life trying to prove that you're competent, trying to prove that you're like, it's almost like I'm trying to be like superwoman, super blind girl, super blind chick. And as soon as something goes wrong, because things are bound to go wrong, then instead of proving the world wrong, I feel like I'm proving the world right. And so then I tend to focus on those things, and I'm like, oh, I couldn't do this. This is, you know, people are gonna think I'm incompetent. People are gonna think I can't do it. People are gonna think, you know, this and this and that. And unfortunately that is a reality, but I sort of have to realize that this kind of stuff happens to everyone, and I have to separate that out. Like, no, this didn't happen because I'm blind. This just happened because I made a mistake, which everybody does and everybody has. And the last one that I want to talk about is fitting in. So this is gonna sound super crazy because we're always told that you don't want to stand out. You don't want to fit in. You want to stand out. You're awesome. You're great. But sometimes you just want to be normal. You just want to be like everyone else. You just want to be included in what everyone else is being included in. And those are just kind of things that it's natural. Like, first of all, I thought that was going to stop at a certain age. Like, I thought, when I was younger, I thought, okay, I'm going to feel like I fit in and like I belong when I'm a teenager. And we all know what it's like to be a teenager. So then when I was a teenager, I was like, okay, I'm going to fit in when I'm an adult, when I'm in college, when we're all the same and we're all here because of we want to learn. And then in college, when I felt like I didn't fit in, I was like, I'm going to feel like I fit in all the time at work. Right? I'm going to go to work and I'm going to feel like I fit in and it's going to be great, and I'm going to be, you know, popular. Everybody, it's going to be great. Everything's going to be great. I'm going to feel like I belong. And now I still feel like that sometimes. Like, there are moments when I feel like, because I'm blind, there's things that kind of go over my head or go past me. I think the biggest examples are like parties. Like, when I was younger, I kind of always ended up like by myself at parties. So like there would be just this huge group of people, and then there would be me, because maybe they all got up and went somewhere and I didn't know where they went, or maybe they were playing something that I wasn't able to play because it wasn't accessible, or maybe it was just, and it literally it was constant. So that's, and then there was like I would be in high school, and like, no one who I went to high school with would tell you that I was unpopular, okay? No one would tell you that, and I wasn't. And like, everyone knew me, but I only had a couple of people that I really knew, and that's high school, okay? But it was certain things, like, okay, everyone knew my name when I was in the hallway. Everyone would be like, hi Annie, hey, what's up? But I wasn't getting invited to any of the parties on the weekends, or I wasn't getting invited to, you know, whatever, or I didn't want to go to the dances because I felt like I wasn't gonna fit in there. I wasn't gonna be, it just wasn't gonna be good. So I wouldn't get invited to the parties. There was like, for example, like senior skip day. They organized like a whole thing where everybody like skips, because senior skip day is a thing, right? Like you guys all pick a day and everybody skips class. It's a thing. And they had it and they organized it, and all these different seniors organized it, and they were all going to go to the beach. But at the time, the technology wasn't available for me to text message yet, and it went on text message. So everyone knew because someone sent a text and someone forwarded the text, and the text went to the whole entire senior class. So everyone knew that there was a senior skip day, and I only found out about it because I heard about it at the very last minute. And I didn't know about it because I wasn't getting texted, because I wasn't able to text because my phone at that time did not talk, and that was the blindness issue. Okay, so because I couldn't do certain things like that, then I didn't know about that. And I actually, just because I had heard about it at the last minute and nobody had gone out of their way to be like, hey Annie, we're all texting about this senior skip day, are you coming? Because none of that had happened, I actually remember just staying home. Because at the time I was 17, I wasn't going to be like, hey, you guys didn't invite me to senior skip day, let me invite myself, or something like that, because I wasn't as secure about who I am. And even now, like, there's things that you get excluded from, like the memes on Facebook where you're just like, oh, that's so funny, but we can't see those, so I can't share that, so I can't be included in that. I want, like, this is gonna sound super shallow, but like, I want a Snapchat. But like, I can't use Snapchat because it's all pictures and videos, and there's literally, I could do nothing with it, right? There's all pictures and filters, but there's nothing that I can do with it. So there's still like huge swaths of the population, or swaths of things that I cannot do because I'm blind. And so exclusion, or not fitting in, or not being enough is probably, I saved that for last because it's like the hardest thing for me to talk about. And that is like, it's the biggest insecurity that I have, that I've ever had, and I thought it would go away, but it kind of hasn't. So that is, it definitely like makes you feel, I don't even know how, it makes you feel like you're not enough. Or that you're a burden, because you can't say, because you have to say like, oh, can you pick me up on the way to do that, because I can't drive to there, things like that. That's why, like, even now I'll be like, oh, I'll take an Uber, instead of being like, hey, can you just stop by and pick me up, because the flip side of feeling excluded is that when you do get included in stuff, you start to feel like it's because people are, pitying you. They're like, oh, this poor little girl, she's not doing anything, I'll go pick her up, it's fine. And so you start saying something like, oh, I'll take an Uber, you don't have to pick me up, or it's fine, I'll get there, just so that you don't feel like you're a burden to people that are including you. So that's my biggest insecurity, I think, that I have dealt with and probably will deal with for the rest of my life. But first of all, I'm going to say, again, not all blind people have the same insecurities. I think that the insecurity of not being enough or being excluded is something that probably everyone in their entire lives has gone through at least once. But for me, I do feel like it's definitely been something that has followed me and kind of dogged me. But the one good thing about knowing what your insecurities are and identifying them is that you can sort of see when they're affecting the way that you see things. So sometimes if you don't know what an insecurity is and you don't realize that that's your insecurity, like for me, being excluded or not being enough or not fitting in, that's a huge insecurity of mine. It always has been. If you don't realize that that's an insecurity, you're gonna see things a lot differently. Like, you're not gonna, I was talking to a coworker, we were talking about going to this thing, and it had been rescheduled, and I said, well, I'm not going because I'm not gonna be able to get there. I'm not gonna have a ride. And she was like, why don't you just ask someone? I don't understand why you always assume the worst, like why you always assume that you're being a burden to someone, or that you are going to make someone go out of their way that doesn't want to go out of their way. Not because they don't like you, but not because you're blind makes them go out of, they would go out of their way because they're your friend, because you like them, because they're, you know. And I kind of like rolled my eyes and walked away, and I was like, whatever, she doesn't understand. But later, I realized that she was right. Like, she's right. She's seeing it from her perspective, and I'm seeing it from my perspective. But my perspective is skewed because of the things that have happened in my life. Now, the way that you live your life and the things that have happened in your past will always skew the way that you see things. Everyone's experiences are different, and they're going to definitely affect the way that you see events. So I'm seeing it as, oh, I'm not going to be able to go, whatever. And she's seeing it as, I can't believe she's not just asking someone to drive her, like, we're seeing it from completely different lenses. I'm seeing it as, I'm going to be a burden, and she's seeing it as, why doesn't she just ask? Why is she assuming the worst of us? So I think the first step is to identify your insecurities, like I just did in this video, which, you know, wasn't awkward or hard or difficult at all, except, you know, it was all those things. And then kind of realize you can take a step back. Once you realize what those insecurities are, you can take a step back and you can realize that they are coloring the way that you see them. It's almost like they're a Snapchat lens, that they're filtering the way that you see things and the way that you see your life, except it doesn't look like you're puking rainbows. It's a little less cool than that. It's just, it definitely affects the way that you see things and the way that other people are seeing you. But also, the other thing about insecurities is that they can be a good thing. Just in the fact that they'll make you change the way that you live your life. For example, for me, one of my huge insecurities is being excluded and being left out because I'm blind or because of whatever reason. Maybe because someone just doesn't want to hang out with me, whatever. But because that has been a concern for me in my entire life, it has made me super aware of when that might be happening to other people. So I'm always trying to make sure that every single person that wants to or needs to be in a certain place is invited or is included, because I never want to make anyone feel the way that I've been made to feel. Okay. And I don't want you to think like I'm saying I hated high school or I hated all these people or I hate everyone, because those kinds of things, they're not always intentional. Like, no one went, I want to exclude Annie from senior skip day, let's not ask her, we don't like her, she's not cool. It's just because I didn't get the text and no one thought like, hey, she's blind, she can't get a text. I can get texts now, by the way, you guys. Technology has definitely changed. So it's not something intentional, but I'm always on the lookout now for either intentional exclusion or for unintentional exclusion, when you might do something accidentally to leave someone out or to leave a person out. And so it has literally changed the way that I've lived my life and changed the way that I have treated other people, and just to kind of make sure that everyone is included if possible. Okay, whenever possible, I want to include everyone that needs to be included, because I never want to make anyone feel the way that I've been made to feel. So that's it. That's basically all I have. That was a really awkward video to make and talk about. It was a long ramble. Hopefully you guys understood all of my rambling. So I definitely think that in knowing what your insecurities are is definitely the first step to fixing them. And I don't think insecurities are ever going to fully go away. That's part of being a human. That's part of being who we are in this world. There's going to be moments where we feel like we're not enough, or moments where we feel like we're excluded, moments that we feel like we're a burden, moments that we feel incompetent. And then their own little individual unique insecurities, like me, like when I try to move around on stage and I feel like a crazy person because I feel like I look super stiff. But knowing them is the first step in the battle. Knowing them is going to change the way that you live your life and change the way that you see things, and really allow you to step back and look at things from a different point of view. So that is it. That's all I have. That's all of my rambling for you. Every person, every disabled person, every regular person has their own different insecurities. Like, I know there's a lot of different, there's videos about bullying, there's videos about insecurity with vision loss. Every disabled person is going to have different insecurities. Okay, so I'm never going to say this is all blind people's insecurities, because maybe there's probably super popular blind people that were always invited to all the parties and that were like, yeah, I'm blind, so deal with it. You know, so this is just me. This is very unique and personal to me. If any of you guys have your own insecurities that you want to talk about, you can always leave a comment down below. You can drop a personal message. I hope that this video has just helped people, because basically what I want you to know is that you're not alone. You're not alone in feeling any of these things, in having insecurities. We're all plagued with insecurities, and I mean, it can feel like a constant thing, but it's also so isolating. But you're not alone. None of us is alone. And that's it. That's basically all I have. Sorry for the super rambling, long, crazy video, almost crying, teary-eyed, good stuff. If you guys want to, if you want me to talk about anything else disability related, anything else about my life, if you have any video ideas, or if you just want to talk about how some of these things have happened to you, if you want a safe space to open up, go ahead and drop a comment down below. You can also private message me. This is a safe space to talk about that stuff, and any comments that are not safe, I would probably delete, because this is definitely, I want this to be a safe place for everyone to talk about it. So that's all I have. Don't forget to press the red button, subscribe, follow me, Annie B Videos on Instagram, so instagram.com/AnnieBVideos, Twitter @AnnieBVideos, and Facebook.com/AnnieBVideos. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, definitely let me know what you think. And that is all I have today, you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.